been born into the SNP. I mean, the ideology is embedded through her. There's no question of that. So I was very disappointed. I think she should have been in the final six, but that is my personal opinion. I'm very happy for the people that did get through.
Yeah. So what is it that attracted you to that party in the first place? So just to explain, I've never been a member of any party. I never joined one. I've never seen the need to join a party. It's something for me. It's a bit. I'd never be able to support a policy that in public that I disagreed with in private. It's a difficult one for me. That.
Right. No, I totally agree with your sentiments. I joined the SNP, I think it was in November 2011. I was, as I said earlier, I was invited to come along to see how the Govan branch campaigned. And I met some of the members, such as Hamish, Ronnie, Jonathan, Ricky, and Shona, who was a member of the branch. And I absolutely loved the vibe of that particular branch. So I stayed and became a lot more active. Going back to your question, why I joined, it was because of the ideology. It was because it's a human civic movement, and it said all the right things that I believed in at the time. I was very discouraged about the whole NATO debate, as I was one of the 48% that voted against. But I remained because I felt that by staying within the party that we could hopefully change the policy further down the line.
Do you think the NATO vote was all about credibility? It was a way of essentially getting America's permission to become an independent country. That might be maybe just being terribly cynical again.
To someone who is very new to the party, that is exactly how it came across to me. I felt that is a case that we needed permission from NATO, from America to be part of NATO, if we were allowed even to have the referendum. But then my knowledge is limited. It's just an opinion.
Okay, that's quite dangerous territory, so we'll leave it there. But if we look forward, so in the next year and a half, things are going to get, well, things have already been quite aggressive, but I think the tension level is going to grow as we get nearer the time. Yeah. And how do you think things are going to play out? What would you like to see happen? What kind of campaigns do you think? I know that Women For Indy's campaign will be reacting to the listening exercise that they've done, but how do you envision the campaign for Women For Indy? What sort of thing do you think they'll be doing in the future?
We will be going out to meet the public. We will be having stalls and festivals across Scotland. We aim to become a lot more proactive to get more people to vote yes, especially women, because we're very passionate about having change and empowering women to gain that voice, to say what it is that they want for their country.
So you think a lot of door-to-door work?
It may just come down to that, yes. But we're hoping to do more focus groups, more gatherings. I will be engaging with the ethnic minority community to get the message across, because I have that skill. I can very easily go between the two communities and find it very interesting to see what it is that they have to add to the debate.
Well, that's an interesting part of the debate, because what kind of feeling do you get in more ethnic minority communities? Is it generally pro-independence, or is it generally negative? I've seen, there's the group Muslims for Indy, and they were kind of lampooned at one point by the press. But I mean, what kind of feeling do you get? Do you think it's more yes, more no, or is it? I'd imagine it's divided, just like everyone else. People are people.
Yes. What I've found so far is that, again, there's many that think it's a good idea, and there's a huge group that are against it. The areas that we work in is mainly Pollock Shields, Govan, which has a very high Labour voter population. So it's the undecideds that I'm particularly aiming at. They're very concerned because they want to know how independence will affect them in economic terms. In real terms, will it mean more taxes? Will it mean losing any of the privileges that they've had under the union? Then I have to explain to them that the National Health Service has been devolved and been handled by the SNP for a while, as well as education, so it will remain the status quo. That will not affect them. But then they go on to ask about businesses and work, if it will mean more job creation. And It's about using a persuasive argument to get them side. It's about being in charge of your own destiny.
Yeah, I think it's the same concerns as everyone else has, basically.
Yeah.
I'm never quite comfortable when it's divided up into the ethnic community, the Polish community, and the Muslim community, and I find that I find it unhelpful.
It's patronising. I think it's patronising. I find it very healthy that we talk about being inclusive, and then when it comes down to voting, it's all about getting a vote and boxing people up within certain parameters. But I see that's the nature of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, not to approve of it, but that is how I've seen it being done.
Yeah, it's something I think that's possibly kind of been imported from America. They work hard, right? Today we're going to get the Irish vote. Tomorrow we're going to get the Hispanic vote. And, it's this very kind of cynical way to go about things.
Yeah, but it seems to have worked for the Labour vote, and it seems to have worked for the SNP vote. It's how they see each other doing things. I would like new strategies to be used, which are far more inclusive.
For example?
How about plain knocking on doors and asking their opinions like we do the rest of the population, rather than just gathering the community into one hall and then being spoken down to?
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea indeed. Okay, so Nighet, thanks very much. Great of you to come on.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello again. So that was another interesting podcast. It was good of Nighet to come on. As usual, I'll play you out with the song that our guest chose. However, just a couple of little announcements before. First, that we'll be back with the For All That podcast soon, sometime at the weekend. Secondly, a couple of little things you could do to give the podcast a hand. Firstly, if you are a user of iTunes, if you could leave us a review on there, it helps us to bump us up the ratings a little bit and gets more people involved in listening to the project. So that would be great, thanks. There's a link to the iTunes page on my webpage, so that's great. And secondly, if you're feeling generous and would like to give us a little donation, there's a button on my site, on the right hand side of the page where you probably found this, or also on Andrew's site there's a button as well. My site's michaelgreenwell.wordpress.com, Andrew's site lalandspeakwarrior.co.uk. So that's us for this time, and I'll leave you with the tune that Nighet chose, which was Karine Polwart, I'm Gonna Do It All. Speak to you next time.
I'm gonna sail right out on the Atlantic. I'm gonna catch me a fish that's bigger than gigantic. I'm gonna cook up a fine fish tea. It will be like some kind of Galilee. I'm gonna do it all someday. I'm gonna do it all someday. I'm silver winged space rocket.